all, welcome to Gallant IAS. Today let's solve the questions from Indian polity asked in the prelims 2020. Fine? And the first question, the Rajya Sabha has equal powers with Lok Sabha in. The answer is, okay, say, regarding the matter of creating all India services, the Rajya Sabha has more powers, right? Regarding amending the constitution, the Rajya Sabha has equal powers with Lok Sabha. That means both the houses has to pass the constitutional amendment bill by a special majority. So in case of amending the constitution, both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha has equal powers. Fine. See, regarding the removal of government, it is the powers of Lok Sabha to remove or dismiss the Council of Ministers. Fine. Regarding cut motion, see, cut motion usually happens at the time of budget. That is, when voting for demand for grants only, the cut motion is usually happens, and it happens in Lok Sabha itself. Fine. So the answer to the question is Rajya Sabha has equal powers with Lok Sabha in amending the constitution. That is option B. That is amending the constitution. Okay. With reference to the funds under MPLAD scheme, which of the following statements are correct? Okay. MPLAD fund must be used to create durable assets like physical infrastructure or health, education, etc. That statement is right. Fine. Regarding statement number 2, a specific portion of each MP's fund must benefit SC/ST population. See, under MPLAD scheme, 15% of fund has to be spent to an area inhabited by SC population, and similarly 7.5% of funds has to be utilized in an area inhabited by ST population. So statement number 2 is also right. Okay. Regarding 3, MPLAD funds are sanctioned on yearly basis and the unused funds cannot be carried forward. See, actually MPLAD fund is non-lapsable. That means even though that funds are not utilized, it can be carried forward to the next year. But the statement asked is, it cannot be carried forward. But actually, it can be carried forward towards the next year. So statement number 3 is wrong. Fine. So since statement number 3 is wrong, B and C should not be our answer. And regarding statement number 4, we need some more clarity regarding the facts or data given in the statement number 4. So we can assume either A or D will be our answer. See, because we need more clarity regarding statement number 4. Let's assume as of now either A or D can be the answer to this question. Okay. Which one of the following categories of fundamental rights incorporates protection against untouchability as a form of discrimination? See, untouchability comes under Article 17. Okay, and we learned that Article 14 to 18 is right to equality. So our answer is option D. That is, untouchability comes under right to equality. Answer is option D. Fine. In India, separation of judiciary from executive is enjoined by, see, separation of executive from judiciary comes under Article 50 of the Constitution. Fine. And it is one of the liberal intellectual principles and it is a part of directive principles of state policy. That is option B. Fine. Along with the budget, the finance minister also places other documents before the parliament which include the macroeconomic framework statement. The aforesaid document is presented because this is mandated by. The answer is option D. Because why means the provisions of Fiscal Responsibility and Management, Budget Management Act 2003 mandate this one. That is to present the macroeconomic framework statement. So our answer is option D. Okay. A constitutional government by definition is a. Answer is option D. That is limited government. By means the constitution makes some restrictions upon the government. By means the government has to act only according to the provisions in the constitution and the government cannot exceed its powers. So the constitutional government provides for a limited government. So the answer to this question is option D. That is limited government. Other than the fundamental rights, which of the following parts of the Constitution of India reflects the principles and provisions of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? See, the provisions of preamble and some of the provisions of DPSP and some of the provisions of fundamental duties all reflects the provisions of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So here also our answer is option D. That is 1, 2 and 3. Okay. In India, legal services authorities provide free legal service to which of the following types of citizens? So after reading all these four statements, just look at the fourth one. All senior citizens. See, all the citizens who are cross 60 years of age also include the wealthy citizens also. And they need not be given assistance by the Legal Service Authority Act. Okay, so logically we can eliminate statement number 4. That is all senior citizens. So by eliminating 4, we can eliminate option D and also option B. Okay, by that we can say that either A or C can be our answer. A means 1 and 2, C means 2 and 3, which automatically says that 2 is a correct answer. That is, regarding transgender, they can get assistance from legal service authorities. Okay, next the doubt is with 1 and 3. And in the provisions it says that the person with an annual income of less than 1 lakh rupees can get assistance. Fine. So statement number 1 should be there in our answer. So our answer becomes option A, that is 1 and 2 only. A parliamentary system of government is one in which, see, in India we follow parliamentary form system. That means executives are responsible to the legislature. That means the Council of Ministers are responsible to Lok Sabha. So the correct answer is option B. That is, the government is responsible to the parliament. That is particularly to Lok Sabha and can be removed by it. That means if a no confidence motion is passed in Lok Sabha, the Council of Ministers has to resign. Fine. So regarding this question, that is parliament system of government is one in which the government is responsible to the parliament and can be removed by it. That is answer. That is option B is our answer to this question. Okay. Which part of the Constitution of India declares the ideal of welfare state? See, we all are familiar with the concept of welfare state. The answer is option A. That is, directive principles of state policy reflects the ideal of welfare state because it gives guidelines for many socio-economic and political programs which eventually lead to a concept of welfare state. So answer is option A, that is DPSP, that is directive principles of state policy. The Constitution, consider the following statements. The Constitution of India defines its basic structure in terms of federalism, secularism, fundamental rights and democracy. See, the concept of basic structure, it is a judicial invention. That is, judiciary interpret it, these so and so provisions as the basic structure. Say example, secularism or supremacy of constitution or parliamentary form system. That is, through various judgment, Supreme Court come up with the concept called basic structure. And please note that the Constitution does not define what is a basic structure. So statement number 1 is wrong. Regarding 2, the Constitution of India provides for judicial review to safeguard citizens' liberties and to preserve the ideals on which the Constitution is based. See, Article 13 says that if a law is made inconsistent with the fundamental rights, the law can be declared as void. And also by virtue of Article 32, that is writ jurisdiction of Supreme Court, and also through 226, that is the writ jurisdiction of High Court, our Constitution clearly provides for a concept called judicial review. So statement number 1 is wrong and statement number 2 is right. So our answer become option B, that is 2 only. In the context of India, which one of the following is the characteristic appropriate for bureaucracy? Okay, the answer is option D, that is an agency for implementation of public policy is the correct definition for bureaucracy to this question. Fine. The preamble to the Constitution of India is a part of Constitution but has no legal effect, not a part of Constitution and has no legal effect either, a part of Constitution and has the same legal effect as any other part, a part of Constitution but has no legal effect independently of the other part. See, preamble is a part of Constitution. In the Kesavananda Bharati case, Supreme Court clearly said that preamble is a part of basic structure. Sorry, preamble is a part of our Constitution. Okay. And see, preamble is not justiciable. It is not directly enforceable by courts. But see, it helps the courts in examining the validity of any laws. I repeat once again, even though preamble is non-justiciable, it helps the courts in examining the validity of laws. So the most appropriate answer will be a part of Constitution but has no legal effect independently of other parts. Fine. So the answer to this question is option D. That is, preamble is a part of Constitution but has no legal effect independently of other parts. Okay. Again, with reference to the provisions contained in the Part 4 of the Constitution. Part 4 means DPSP, that is Directive Principles of State Policy. Which of the following statements is or are correct? They shall be enforceable by courts. See, DPSP are not enforceable by courts. So, statement number 1 is wrong. Regarding 2, they shall not be enforceable by any court. Their statement is right here. Regarding 3, the principles laid down in this part are to influence the making of laws by the state. Exactly. DPSP is a set of guidelines which ask the states to make consideration of those principles when they are making laws or framing some policies. Right. So, statement 2 and 3 is the correct statements given here. So, our answer become option D. And statement number 1 is wrong here. Fine. Consider the following statements. According to the Constitution of India, a person who is eligible to vote can be made a minister in a state for 6 months, even if he or she is not a member of the state legislature of that state. See, a person who is eligible to vote means a person who crosses 18 years of age and his name is present in the electoral roll. But see, to become a minister in a state, he or she must be at least minimum of 25 years of age. Okay, that means directly says that a person who is eligible to vote can be made a minister. No, because minimum age requirement is 25 in case if he or she has to be appointed as a minister in a state. So, statement number 1 is wrong. Fine. Regarding statement number 2, according to the Representation of Peoples Act 1951, a person convicted of a criminal offence and sentenced to imprisonment for 5 years is permanently disqualified from contesting an election even after his release from the prison. See, according to RPA Act 1951, it says that if a person convicted for an offence and sentenced to imprisonment of 2 or more years shall be disqualified, but not permanently. The term permanently makes the statement wrong here. Okay, convicted for more than 2 years shall be disqualified after release from the prison. Then for 6 more years he cannot contest any elections. That's the provision mentioned under RPA Act 1951. Okay, so statement 2 is also wrong. So since both the statements are wrong, our answer become option D. That is neither 1 nor 2. Again, last the question. Consider the following statements. The President of India can summon a session of the Parliament at such place as he thinks fit. That is right here because it is the power of Parliament, the power of President to summon a session of the Parliament. So, statement number 1 is right here. Regarding statement number 2, the Constitution of India provides for 3 sessions of a Parliament in a year, but it is not mandatory to conduct all the 3 sessions. See, the Constitution does not provide for 3 sessions. By convention, we have 3 sessions, that is the budget session, the monsoon session and the winter session. And please note that the Constitution does not provide for 3 sessions. So, statement number 2 is wrong. And 3 says that there is no minimum number of days that the Parliament is required to meet in a year. That statement is right. Our Constitution says that the gap between 2 sessions should not be more than 6 months. And the Constitution does not say that minimum number of days which the Parliament has to meet in an year. So, statement number 3 is right and 1 is right. So, answer become option C, that is 1 and 3. Okay, and that's all about the questions regarding Indian polity. Thank you.